Okay, let's try this again. Take two. First one didn't work out too good. Okay, what we're doing here is I had asked people to send in some questions, and I'd try and answer them in videos, and I got some really good response from people. Um, lots of different topics, some of them too big to put into one video. I want to try and keep the videos like under 15 minutes, or else it gets too boring, I think, to sit through a 20 or half an hour long video. So I'll try and keep them short. So this one is just going to be sort of an introduction, what we're going to be talking about a bit. We're going to start today with it's a more of a personal question, I guess, and it's the easiest one to take off the top, that I don't need any props or setups in the store or in the shop. So first I want to say, if people are watching me on YouTube, there seems to be a lot of confusion at times. People comment that you're talking like we should know what you're talking about, but we don't. And what it is these videos were originally made for a site called DIYmolds.com for those members, for mold makers, for leaf casters, etc. So most of them knew what we're talking about, and then I was urged to put the videos out on YouTube, so I did, and I'm sure it can be confusing if you don't know the terms that I'm using, or it can see I'm expecting that you do know what I'm talking about. But feel free. I'm going to put the links all down in the description down below to DIYmolds.com if you'd like to join. There's only a couple rules. It's free, doesn't cost you a penny. You just have to introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, a little bit what your interests are, where you like to go in the concrete business, if you're a hobbyist or you like to start doing it as a business. You don't have to get too personal about it. And participation, we expect people to participate. If you don't, your membership will be pretty short. Feel free to join, like I said, and I'll put the links downstairs, down here in the description, downstairs. I'm also going to put for my Facebook link and my Instagram link. I'll put it all down below, so people, if you like to YouTube people, if you want to ask me a question here on YouTube, or you could also send me one on Facebook to our store, and I'd be happy to make another video if it warrants it. Everybody feel free to ask away. Another confusion I guess people get is because I got three names. I'm the Grizz, that's my DIY molds name. I'm Mr. Concrete Artisan, that's my YouTube handle. And I'm Daryl is my real name. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. I think some people thought I was two separate people. The Grizz and Mr. Concrete Artisan were two different guys, but I'm the same guy. So sorry to disappoint you. Okay, so I guess the first question was, how did I get into this? How did I find the interest to get into this business? And was it a family business and I just took it over, or what? But no. It came about sort of a weird way, I guess. I was a chef for 30 years. Some of you know about that. I worked for Sheraton and Hyatt and Delta Hotels. Sort of got a name for myself for opening new properties, mostly around the province of British Columbia. During that time as a chef, we used to do something called butter sculpting, or what we used was tallow. Was a really high temperature fat, and it was like working with wax, and not very different than the plasticine that I use. You use the same tools, and I was under the tutelage of a chef who was a fantastic natural artist who did these great sculptures. He taught me how to do sculpting. I worked on small ones myself, and then we did large oversized ones together. Did that for a lot of years, and then sort of forgot about that part of my life until I'd worked here in this town where I am, in Vernon, BC. I was a chef at a local golf and country club. I sort of fell out of love with the industry after 30 years. Some people say, how 30 years, that's a long time. I started when I was 15 years old, so I never graduated from high school. You kids, you stay in high school and graduate. It's different times now. So yeah, I went to BCIT in Vancouver when I was 15 years old. I was the youngest student they ever had. Was the Lieutenant Governor Award winner after I finished my 3-year apprenticeship. I was runner-up to Top Apprentice in Canada that same year, beaten out by Shane, you know where you are. And so got tired of the industry. It changed quite a bit. It's not what you see on TV. It's not glory and glamorous. It's long hours, no days off, stress, incredible stress. Decided to walk away with it. I was still young enough to start a new career. I went into the meat processing business for a friend of mine, and you can imagine it's not the most glamorous job either. I did that for about a year or so, and my brother-in-law was a mason, and the mason community is quite small, and there was a woman whose husband had passed away, and he had a large complex, this complex. It was a real mess back here. He sort of kept every little nut and bolt and screw and piece of wood and iron and whatever you can name. They were looking for someone to come and clean it up, and they were going to pay quite well for someone to clean up. So it took me 2 years to clean this up. I left the meat business, came here, and my wife helped out by starting doing the books for this nice lady. And one thing sort of led to the other. The shop was her husband's, and I asked if I could take it over, if I could lease it, and she said okay. And the more we went along, we sort of talked about what could we do as an opportunity for a business. And we'd always like garden store, like when you go in and the garden art and cool things. We've seen a real cool place down in Seattle years ago that we fell in love with, and sort of had this idea, and I got this crazy idea if I made stepping stones. You know, I bought about 20 different stepping stone molds, but what we were missing was a storefront. And lo and behold, after a couple of months of dreaming, one of the units out on the front of the properties here came up. So we acquired that, got a lease for that property, and one thing led to the other, and I took over out back here as well because we needed room to put all the stuff. And that's sort of how it started. Realized in a hurry that just making stepping stones wasn't going to be a career or be able to finance ourselves. She had lots of garden art in the store, so that's where we started expanding. I bought some molds for the first time, discovered how expensive they were, started looking around to try and find how I could make it myself. There's nothing out there. And after a few years, finally, luckily, ran into DIY molds that Guns had started up. Thank goodness, because himself and a couple other fellows, like Tuscany on the website, helped me out tremendously. And sort of it's gone on from there. The store is only 7 years old. Been in business for 7 years. Every year we expand a little bit more. It's getting bigger and bigger all the time. We're sort of scratching our heads on which direction to go for the next couple of years here. We sort of got a few plans, but I'll fill you in if things change here. The property is perfect for us. We love it. We love the business. I love what I'm doing. There's no stress. The only stress is what you put on yourself. And I strongly encourage, if anybody wants to get into this, that you can do it. It is a viable business for you. So, but it's a lot of hard work too. The first few years were really hard. Like any business, the first 2-3 years are tough. You have to you're working crazy hours too, but it's different because you're working for yourself. So anyway, that's about it about the personal stories there. I guess if you're wondering in the background, if you can see, it looks pretty hazy up in there. Unfortunately, our province, British Columbia, is under a state of emergency. There's over 200 wildfires started in the last couple of weeks. It's been really hot here, and it's been pretty terrible. We're in a valley, so we get choked out by the smoke, even though the actual fires are like a couple of hours away or an hour and a half away from here. The smoke all collects down in the valley, so it's been pretty crappy. So other than that, okay, the next few vids, there's lots of great questions on, all from how to stain, acid stain versus water stains, how to clean up castings, how to clean up leaf edges, on and on. There's a whole bunch, so I'm going to break them into smaller videos so it's not too cumbersome for everybody to watch. But by all means, more questions, you DIY folks, you can ask me more questions in a private message, and YouTube folks, you can ask either on YouTube or on my Facebook link that you'll find down below. Okay, everybody, take care. See you later.